You wanted to know about the 4 pillars of motivation. Boom. Let me show you. 4 pillars of motivation. What is it? Right? Motivation, timeline, condition, and price. What is motivation? You know, you're on the phone, you're making cold calls, or you're sending SMS blasts, what have you. Anything you're doing, right? You need to start with the motivation. What is their motivation? So, perfect example. A perfect example for motivation is they're going through a divorce, right? They're going through a divorce and they need to get rid of that property. Or, unfortunately, a loved one may have passed away. Maybe they're relocating due to, their job. Or maybe they did come in to that property because they relocated from their previous location and now they're here because of their main job. But now their main job is relocating them, and so their motivation is that they have to move because of the job. So always find the motivation. Motivation can be several things. It can be health issues, it can be career, it can be family, it can be financials. Um, One of the big ones that I'm working with is, pre-foreclosures, and that's huge motivation. A lot of folks actually don't want to go into pre-foreclosure. A lot of folks just want to stay in their home and figure out a way to do it. So that's your motivation, right? Next, we have timeline. This is very important. You may have the motivation, but the timeline could be 6 months, right? And if you're looking for, funds, capital, and investment property right now, 6 months might not work for you. However, it's not a dead lead. You input that into your CRM. So timeline is important. Timeline is, when are they looking to move? When are they looking to move this thing? When are they looking to um, get rid of the asset or sell potential asset? So timeline. You find the motivation. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what's going on? Why are you looking to sell? Well, I had a hiccup. I've got to relocate due to jobs or what have you. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what's your timeline like? Are you thinking a year from now, 6 months from now? Are you thinking more like a month, 3 weeks? What's your timeline like? Once you find out their timeline, then you move to the third pillar, condition. Got it. So let me just reiterate. The reason for you selling is because X and Y, and you're looking to do it within the next month. Did I follow? Did I hear that correctly? Then you move to condition. Well, now that I understand those two, tell me a little bit about the property. What's going on with it, right? How's the roof? When's the last time the roof been replaced? I mean, these days, insurance companies won't even insure without a new roof. I know that happens here in Florida. A lot of insurance companies, unless you have an updated roof, they will not insure, right? How's the flooring, right? How long have you been living there? If you've been living there over 2, 3 years and you got kids, you've got cabinets that are broken. You have crayons, on the walls. So ask about these things. Ask about it like if you were walking to the house and you were physically there. Like when you first got your house or you first got your rental, what were you doing? You were walking around looking like, oh wow, why is that like that? Wow, why is that like that? So ask them the same information. What's the flooring like? What are the windows like? Tell me about the electrical. What happened during the last hurricane? Did anything get wet? Anything get damaged? Anything get flooded? Ask them these questions because you can have motivation, timeline, and price. But if the condition is terrible, the price doesn't matter, right? The condition can kill the deal. So these are the 4 pillars that you need in order for the deal to work. It's very tough when you have 3 and not 4, or 2 and not 4, right? So condition. Do I need flooring? Do I need to update the kitchen because that's what the homes are selling for in the area? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do I need to do to bring this up to 2023 standard, right? Use it. And then that leaves us with the last one, price. You've got the motivation, you've heard the timeline. Now, we can say the motivation was work, right? And then the timeline was 1 month, right? And let's say the condition, it needs rehab. It needs a rehab. For me, rehab is redoing the kitchen, the flooring, doing a little bit of the walls that may be done, updating the lighting, like in the kitchen area, the bathroom. That's what a rehab for me is. Now you have price, right? Let's just say that your rehab was gonna cost you, 47K, right? And let's just say that this property is worth, just for example, let's just say that it's worth as is 150, right? You asking for the price, Mr. Jones. What do we need to do to help you relocate within the next month? Keeping in mind that we need to do a rehab on this. Well, I was on Zillow and I saw that, I can probably get 150K for this property. Okay, you got 150K. Well, let's try to talk this through. I've got to put at minimum 47,000 into it, right? So we've got 150 minus 47 grand, right? What's that? 103? 103 grand. So, and let's just say that this is off market, right? So we're down to about 103, right? What's the ARV of this thing, right? What's it gonna sell? And you can ask them this, what's it gonna sell once I fix this thing up? Is 103 gonna be enough, right? Because what do you want to walk away with, right? I know you're asking 150, but what do you want to walk away with in your pocket? What if they say 60K, right? Then you got about 43K left, right? But is that spread enough on the ARV, right? What if the ARV is 180, right? You don't have much, because off of the remaining, you've still got about another 6 to 8% that you have to account for when you relist it, for commissions, fees, closing costs. So that 60 may kill the deal, right? So always make sure you have, again, motivation, timeline, condition, and price. Price is very important, right? And now once you figure out that the price that they offer does not work, no matter how you look at it, and they're not budging, right? Pitch them a creative deal, right? Pitch them a full ask, if it makes sense, on a creative term, right? Present the terms that are in favor for both parties. Sometimes that means it's an ovation, where you pay them out at closing. Sometimes if they do have a loan as a subject to, you take this over subject to, right? And then your entry fee is much lower, right? And if they don't have a mortgage, no problem. Pitch the novation or pitch the seller finance, and then pitch that with a balloon. So once the rehab is done, you get cashed out. So there's many opportunities, right? But you always want to start with the 4 pillars of motivation: motivation, timeline, condition, and price. Without these 4, you have nothing, in my opinion. The deal's kind of wobbling a little bit if you don't have one. You can have motivation, condition, and price, but they want to do it in a year. That means you put it in your CRM for about, I will still touch with them every month, maybe 2 months. Or you can have timeline, condition, and price, but there's no motivation. We see that a lot. We know the timeline, condition, and price, but really they just want to sell. They don't need to. They're just like, yeah, if it happens, the right amount won't sell it. And so that's why I would say the 4 pillars of motivation are key. If you're trying to learn more on the creative side, subject to hybrids, wraps, sandwich lease options, let me know. I would love to JV with you. Right now, we're doing a lot of pre foreclosures. However, a lot of creative deals are being taken down right now. My team and I were doing a lot of raps and a lot of subject twos. And so, if you love to network with us, we'd love to kind of see what you got going on, try to coach you a little bit through it, teach you what we know, and reach out. Let me know where you're at in your steps. Let me know how far you are. If you have a deal that you need help with currently right now, let me know. Make me aware. And so put it in the comments. Don't forget like, subscribe, reach out to me. Here to help you.